Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that's going to let you make one super easily. And then you can distribute it everywhere and even earn money doing this. All in one place. And it's free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and even edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard.
Ever since we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it's been really great. Really get the people involved and ask questions and get ideas for new podcasts. So it's really helped us. And I highly recommend you give it a try. So download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
They fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you, sir?
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got. If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Conspiracy Podcast. My name's Eric.
I am Sean.
Jorge.
And we're back again.
We are doing an episode on chemtrails. What the are chemtrails?
Still trying to figure it out.
And so here we go. Chemtrail conspiracies have been around since basically the 90s, and people, I guess, are really into them.
I mean, it's since planes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not really. I don't remember anybody talking about like chemtrails 30 years ago, 25 years ago.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
No, there's a reason. So the chemtrail conspiracy began to circulate after the USAF, the Air Force. Mm-hmm. They published a report in 1996 about weather modification.
Mm.
Ooh.
That's a whole nother episode, too, by the way.
Yes, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So following the report in the late 90s, they were accused of basically spraying the U.S. population with mysterious substances.
Mm.
So from the aircraft,
that
right?
controls the mind.
And what they said is it generated unusual contrail patterns.
Mm. Okay.
So multiple agencies then responded to that, trying to get rid of the rumors, and that was published in 2000 by the EPA, the FAA, NASA, and
all reputable sources.
Yeah, literally all of them.
The EPA, they got our backs.
All of them came in and they were like, no, don't worry, no.
You see, what happened was...
Yes. Yeah.
Look,
no, big deal.
It's the planes farting.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Actually, very similar to Roswell.
Oh,
where,
they came out, they're like, no, it's a balloon.
Yeah. So everybody got all fired up when they said no. When they came out and said, no, this is not right. So,
and then they recently came out and said,
they're like, okay, we lied.
Actually.
Sorry, we lied.
So they came out with this whole report saying it's bullshit, essentially.
Yeah.
In a
Sum it
nutshell.
up.
Yeah. But
debunked.
Like we said,
independent fact checkers have approved this.
Same ones that work for Facebook.
I know, exactly.
That's when it got really crazy, because then it was like, oh, this is a government against the little people thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so...
by little people, it means 99% of the population.
Yeah, exactly. So in the early 2000s, the Air Force released an undated fact sheet that stated the conspiracy theories were a hoax, fueled in part by citations to a 1996 strategy paper that was drafted within their university titled "Weather as a Force Multiplier."
Okay, this already
Say what?
is like, this is already ridiculous.
It goes on and they say, owning the wet. This is the title of the paper, which is Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025.
And so the Air Force is like, that's like their data?
Well, that was the paper.
It's because of this one person in college who wrote this paper.
Yeah, so that was in 1996, and they were saying, owning the weather in 2025.
Like controlling the weather? What do you mean?
That's what they
You
say is
decide.
owning the weather.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but essentially controlling the weather. So if they could, with all that money and stuff like that, you put in, I guess, funding for research, and then you go, okay, could we control the weather in 30 years? Because it's, with Katrina, with all these different things, it's a disaster or whatever. And what if we could do it? What if we could control the weather?
What if?
So
Well,
the
like
paper,
I said, that's another episode. But like, if they could, I don't see it. I don't see that they do.
Yeah.
Like when you have all these fires in California, why wouldn't they just control the
why
weather?
don't they just make it rain?
Make rain happen.
Yeah, like, please,
no, that was the idea behind
controlling the weather. That was the
controlling the
whole
weather.
purpose.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
The
maybe
whole purpose of
and by
trying
the way,
to
it's
put it
like maybe they
together.
were trying to do it and they just like couldn't. And they kept fucking it up.
Yeah, but that's like one of the conspiracies is like they do this because they want to control the weather, and then they come out and they say, no, it's just regular. It's not.
Right.
It's not chemicals.
Well, what they
It's just
what they
weather
essentially
controlling
said
fluid.
what they essentially said was that it's a strategy paper. It's like you know what I mean? Like what if we could?
What would you
Eventually.
do with it?
Yeah,
It's just a theory.
It's a theory. It was like a strategy sesh.
And I love how that
Yeah.
was like their backup.
Brainstorming
They were
sesh.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we found this super obscure paper, and like this is where all these like dudes in like the trailer park were like coming up with this thing from, like, because they were reading this strategy paper. Like, that's
So the
okay.
the paper was presented in response to a military directive to outline a future strategic weather modification system for the purpose of maintaining the United States military dominance all the way in the future to 2025.
Oh, it's like only make it thunderstorm over their enemies for like 6 weeks at
I
a
mean,
time.
that would be
like,
pretty
God
rad.
damn it!
That would-
Like, still
that would be
raining.
pretty,
Like,
honestly,
like,
though, that would be pretty rad.
Bring in the lightning.
I know, right?
Send,
Rain down the frogs!
send the tornado.
Yeah.
It's like
I know.
like the Prince of Egypt.
But they identified it as fictional representations of future situations and scenarios.
Mm.
So they
Kind of
also
like what the AI can do or can't do.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Because
Absolutely.
someone wrote a paper.
It's just
That's
theory.
Obviously false.
theory, in
Skynet.
college. So they went on to say further in 2005 because they continually
They
respond to this.
they got
you
you.
know.
Like every 5 years, you got to like pump
Yeah.
out some.
It does not reflect current military policy, practice, or even our capabilities. And that and not conducting any weather modification experiments or programs, and has no plans to do so in the future.
Yeah, because the government has always been one hundo with us.
On page. But why do they keep replying to this stuff?
Like,
You know what I mean? Like Roswell happens, and then they're like, this was definitely not us. Like, just shut
I
up.
saw this TikTok, like comedian on TikTok, and he's like, I can understand you don't trust the government, but you don't believe any of this? Like,
I saw that. He talks about his son. He's like, I'm responsible for one son.
Yeah.
I won't say the rest of it.
So the United States Air Force stated that the chemtrail hoax has been investigated and refuted by many established and accredited universities, scientific organizations, and major media.
First, let's get a dub in. Like, I really hate the word accredited. No, it's because like, who is like?
Oh yeah, like
because
who
you
it
realize
is.
it's like some arbitrary organization is then saying that you're legit. Like, but who's the person saying you're legit? It's
Yeah.
like it's so.
Like they
it's
may
so,
as well like
It's so.
quote
It's
it.
like saying I'm accredited.
Yeah,
But like, who's accrediting you?
yeah, they should quote who the accredited.
Yeah, who the
Yeah.
accreditor?
Well, it says accredited universities, so I hope it's not like
Oh, like I can transfer my
Yes.
credits over there. I can,
it's like an
transfer my-
online school.
It's like University
Yeah.
of Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a good school.
It is good school. We're sponsored. by
What's the football player?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald
Yeah.
killing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So then going.
check this out real quick.
Yeah.
Definition of accredited university. So it's the general definition of accredited is to be officially authorized or approved. The term is most commonly used in connection with educational institutions, as in other countries. Accreditation in the U.S. is a stamp that a college or university meets basic standards.
Okay, so that means literally nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like
Okay.
you're accredited.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2013, when it was made public that the CIA, NASA, and NOAA, which is
This is a word.
Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Oh, wow. Okay, they're not trying to
Which
control
is
the weather. The
rad.
fucking organization.
Dude, I want to join that one. Intended to provide funds to the National Academy of Sciences in order to conduct research into methods that would counteract global warming.
Okay.
So that was in 2013. So that just kind of fueled the fire even more on this whole conspiracy, which is that, okay, now we're getting funding to control the weather.
It's like, we're not controlling the weather, except we just got 30 billy to try to control the weather because of global warming. It's a problem.
So now believers of this conspiracy say that chemtrails can be seen by their long duration.
Oh, when you see like the streaks in the sky, like they should
go
just
away.
dissipate instantly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Asserting that chemtrails are those trails left by aircraft that persist for as much as a half of a day and then transform into clouds. The believers claim that after 95, contrails had a different chemical composition and lasted longer in the sky. So they're saying in 95 it started.
Okay. But like, I guess, were there other... I'm assuming there's other trails that are naturally left by aircraft.
Yeah, those are contrails,
sure.
which are called, to define that, is condensation trails.
Oh, okay. So it's actually just like moisture.
Like that's a real thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing. That's what you see, and that's actually coming up, which is...
But do we know how long they're supposed to last?
So here we go,
There we
right?
go, yeah.
So contrails. What are contrails, right?
You need to learn me.
So contrails are actually condensation trails, and they're streaks of condensed water vapor created in the air by an airplane or a rocket at high altitude.
That happens.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
what happens. So fossil fuel combustion, as in like jet engines, they produce carbon dioxide and water vapor. So at high altitudes, the air is super cold.
Oh, it's fucking freezing.
Super cold. I don't know if you've ever put your head out of a Southwest flight. Fucking cold.
Just open the fucking cabin.
Don't do that. So then hot, humid air from the engine exhausts then mixes with the colder air that's up there, and it causes the water vapor to condense into droplets, or I guess you would call them ice crystals, and then that forms visible clouds.
Like that's basically when it's cold outside, you start your car and you see the little, the smoke or the condensation coming out of your exhaust.
Yeah,
or you breathe.
Like,
Same shit.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's
So
on
just
a larger scale.
There.
Right.
And in the sky.
So the rate at which contrails dissipate is entirely dependent on weather conditions.
Really? Like weather conditions like in the 50,000 feet in the air?
I mean, I would assume that it's not the same weather across the globe. 50,000 feet.
Right.
True, but I got to think it's got to be
close.
it's got to be more equivalent because once you're that high and the amount of oxygen is so low, it's like
it's nominal difference.
It's like saying for example, like you drop a bowling ball on a feather in a vacuum, they drop the same rate. It's almost you're getting closer to a vacuum.
Yeah.
Therefore, things must be
So it's
more equivalent.
Yeah. So like
I don't know.
There can't be that much of a difference between like the sky in Malibu compared to like Honolulu.
No, they're the fucking.
I mean, there probably is, but you're saying it's nominal.
It's got to be like fractional.
Yeah, it's nominal. When you're that high and it's that cold.
Yeah, if you're obviously you're like on land, it's super different.
Yeah,
but
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Have humidity in the air. So obviously, like you were saying, depending on where it is in the globe, like you're gonna have different humidity levels, even at that height. I would think.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So jets flying by, and it creates this condensation thing or whatever that it leaves behind this trail. So I don't know. I mean, what?
Yeah. Well, it's basically saying if the atmosphere is dry, then the contrail will dissipate quickly. If it's humid,
Exactly.
it's not supposed to.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So believers of this conspiracy theory describe contrails as streams that should persist for hours, but eventually blend into form large clouds.
That should or they do?
They should. like the normal contrails.
Do they?
Oh, normal contrails.
Do you have like data on like how long the other ones last? You said like hours or days or something like that.
Not days.
I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research, and I haven't like got my camera out, like mapping out the trails.
I've personally never seen a chemtrail last for days. I've seen one that definitely lasts for like, half a day, like hours and hours. Well, and it seems weird.
I see it, but then I'm just like, I literally look at them like bastards. And then I go on with my day. And I keep doing whatever I'm doing.
Well, I mean, the argument is,
I'm breathing. Fuck it.
The argument is that post 1995, they last longer.
I see.
As far as how long.
So that's the people are actually like looking at it. They're like, they've mapped out the timing of it. And they're like, okay, shit's different now.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
All right.
I have a couple of things about people who are accredited sources.
Community is a different word. Like people are like, how about valid or like good sources,
or like sources that you may go. Well,
you might believe that. Possibly believable sources.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that better than accredited.
But there you go. That's this conspiracy overall. Like
the main conspiracy is that they're trying to control the weather, right?
And they're putting chemicals into planes and putting them over population.
Yeah, but for the purpose of controlling the weather.
Yeah, see,
I thought that's the main theory.
I thought that theory was more sinister. I always believed it was like some form of like population control or some sort of like
poison,
even like genetic modification.
Yep.
Somehow like trying to, because even if you look, statistically in terms of like birth rates and all these things, it's like we're progressively having less and less kids. Infertility is a huge problem. There's a massive, big field in terms of people trying to have kids and trying to get pregnant. So I felt that it was more of a thing like that. Like, okay,
that's what I've heard
by
too,
spreading,
and that's what I researched, or that's one of the theories, conspiracy theories.
No, that's a big part of it. It's that they're putting chemicals into planes and dumping them on the U.S. And what those chemicals are and what the purpose is the big big question, because it's kind of like
and it's not that hard to think. Like, we've been putting chemicals in planes for a fucking long time. Pesticides and like
what if
we're like GMO?
We're pretty pro. We're pretty pro with that.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Hitler survived the war. Flying planes over to turn everybody Aryan.
He became a Delta pilot.
Yes. So a couple of things, and these arguments are against this theory.
Okay.
So these are people and that sort of thing.
These are the accredited people.
The accredited
people. Yeah. So Edward Snowden.
What?
Ed Snowden.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, Edward Snowden.
I thought you were like talking about somebody. I was like, damn, we got the same name.
Yeah. So Edward Snowden, he was on Rogan.
Yeah.
And Rogan asked him straight up.
Fucking, I thought he wasn't allowed in the U.S.
I think
was he like VPN'd in?
Yeah, for sure. VPN. Really, he's just at Denver Airport.
Underneath.
Yeah, the Cinnabon. He's at the Cinnabon underneath it. Yeah. No, Edward Snowden was on Rogan, and he stated that he had searched through all of the secret information of the U.S. government for evidence about aliens and chemtrails.
Oh, wow. Those are the two things he chose?
Yeah.
He didn't think of anything else?
And he said, in case you were wondering, chemtrails are not a thing. I had ridiculous access to the networks of the NSA, the CIA, the military, all of these groups. I couldn't find anything.
Wow. Okay, I get it, Ed, but like... No, here's my point. It's like, Ed Snowden is being a little kind of bloated here, thinking he had access to all the data in the entire government
he's right.
/military.
He's right. There's a lot of data.
For sure.
That's
why I read one shelf of the library. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you something, because so according to the common man, if you Google it, the highest possible clearance you can get in the military or the government is it's called a TSSCI, which stands for Top Secret Special Compartmentalized. I don't remember. I forget the I stands for it, but it's special compartmentalized, because that's what the government does. They compartmentalize the data, so there is not one sole repository for all the information. And I get it, NSA had access to a lot of this data, but you can't imagine they have access to all of it. every organization has their own servers, their own everything, and even that is compartmentalized. So everything is segregated because like everyone, when you're at that level, they're all fucking paranoid psychos. They're all like afraid, like you're gonna find out. So the idea of him having access to all the data, like some like mid-level NSA analyst, like, sorry, bro, if you were like a 4-star general, sure, okay. All right, maybe you do have that access.
All right, that's Eddie, you got bunked. You got debunked, Eddie.
I'm not saying like I don't believe. I'm just
Sean
saying that
1,
like
Eddie 0.
If you look at it just from an analytical standpoint, like the idea of him having all the access is ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right.
Next.
Kudos on that. Kudos on you.
It makes sense. I'm not being crazy.
No, I got it. Okay, so in 2007, a Louisiana television station reported of chemtrails. In the report, the air underneath the crosshatch of supposed chemtrails was measured and apparently found to contain unsafe levels of barium.
What is that?
It's an element. So barium is a chemical element with the symbol Ba and atomic number 56. It's the 5th element in group 2 and is a soft, silvery, alkaline earth metal. So it is metal. Because of its high chemical reactivity, barium is never found in nature as a free element. So that means it's not a naturally occurring substance. It has to be created.
I see.
See, the most common minerals of barium are barite and witherite. So, because of its high chemical reactivity, barium is never found in nature as a free element. So, in order to find, you have to actually harvest it from other things because it doesn't exist by itself. Because its chemical reactivity, it reacts with other shit, becomes a compound.
Gotcha.
Yes. So that's how if they find barium.
That's poisonous. Yeah.
And it's not, the motherfucker, that shit doesn't exist alone.
So somebody had to place it there.
It doesn't exist.
So barium is poisonous, and even at low doses affects the nervous system, cardiac tremors, weakness, anxiety, shortness of breath, paralysis. So it doesn't feel good.
And most, just so people know, like
it's not a carcinogenic, but
most heavy metals, besides like iron and things like that, are typically poisonous.
It's probably in cigarettes too.
100%. And I can taste it right now. I can taste the barium.
So they found unsafe levels of barium,
which is pretty much any barium,
at 6.8 parts per million, which is 3 times the U.S. recommended limit.
Recommended for what?
Like exposure for danger,
like life. Yeah.
Although, and this was kind of a big thing, and that's why this is being brought up, but analysis of the footage showed, however, that the equipment had been misused and the reading exaggerated it by a factor of 100.
So this is where it's so easy to like.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I don't know what side's right. I'm not saying any side's right, but I'm saying it is so easy for someone to be like, no, it's wrong. And people are like, ooh.
Right.
Like, how do they know the equipment was exact? What?
Yeah.
It's easy to manipulate any stat.
Even if they were like, no, it's not real. Someone could also go on the other end,
right.
like and say the same exact thing and be like, oh no, they exaggerated it because it's exaggerated too low.
Right.
So either side could just easily be like, no, fuck you.
In May of 2014, a video went viral. I hate this word.
And also, like,
viral.
Viral in 2014 is like, it's got 6,000
So
views.
it went viral. It went viral as shit, showing a commercial passenger airplane landing on a foggy night, which was described as emitting chemtrails. Discovery News pointed out, P.S. Who the fuck is Discovery News?
Discovery News?
Is that the channel?
I have never heard of that shit.
Is that the...
But also right away you're saying it was a foggy night. So it's
It was
like
a foggy night, yeah.
So Discovery News and ESPN The Ocho.
I know. Discovery News. We are an offshoot of the Discovery Channel. Yeah. So Discovery News. They're probably killing me.
I love you, Discovery News.
Discovery News pointed out that passengers sitting behind the wings could clearly see anything being sprayed, which would defeat any intent to be secretive. Oh, Discovery News was trying to debunk this.
Oh, I thought Discovery News was like one of the passengers.
Oh, I get it. It's not like the Discovery Channel. They're like discovering shit.
Oh.
Discovery News. Oh, all right. Bad name.
That's a terrifyingly bad name. Yeah. They didn't need a marketing guy.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I'm gonna call a new company. It's called Disney Research. The fuck? Discovery News. Get out of town. All right. Anyway, so it was debunked, and
So they
and it
saw
was
this
said-
shit being released, or
Yeah, so-
they
but it
saw
went viral,
condensation.
But like, if you're landing,
Yeah.
why are you shitting out condensation? Like, you know,
Right.
700 feet above the ground. Like,
Because
Right.
that's what fucking planes do. They condensate.
no,
I
but they don't
know.
condensate. Like,
Contrails.
There you go.
why? I'm not condensating like right now.
What?
Don't be condensating.
Don't you be
Don't
condescending
condensate.
me.
Don't condensate me.
So another example, in October 2014, Chris Bovey filmed a video of a plane jettisoning fuel on a flight from Buenos Aires to London, which had to dump fuel.
Let's redo that. Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires.
Nice. In 2014, Chris Bovey filmed a video of a plane jettisoning fuel on a flight from Buenos Aires to London, which had to dump fuel to lighten its load for an emergency landing in Sao Paulo. The clip went viral, on Facebook with 3 million views.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And more than 52,000 shares. And it was cited as evidence for chemtrails.
Certified viral.
Certified. Yeah. I hate the word.
Accredited viral.
Yeah. But he later on, Mr. Bovey, disclosed that the video posted was done as a prank. And consequently, he was subjected to some severe abuse from conspiracy
First of all,
believers.
who's Chris
Come on
Bovey?
now.
This is some like
This
random,
guy,
this is
yeah,
like
he did
rando.
it. Yeah. Anyways, so that's another story
That's
of
bullshit.
it being debunked. The problem with this whole conspiracy is there's a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, for
There's
sure.
so much
don't get me wrong, like,
shit.
There's a lot of people. Like, obviously, in these types of things, you want to defer to more of like the scientific thing,
Right.
like especially with this barium thing. The fact that it's not like a naturally occurring.
Yeah.
It's always in a compound form, and you have to like take it out of a compound form to have it. Like that's legit.
We need accredited investors.
investors and invest in us.
Sorry, scientific
investigators.
Yeah. Couple other points here. So experts on atmospheric phenomena say the characteristics attributed to chemtrails are simply features of contrails responding to the different conditions in terms of sunlight, temperature, vertical wind, horizontal wind, and humidity levels. So that's something we talked about already, but
Yeah.
True.
in 2016, a survey of 77 atmospheric scientists concluded
The only 77 on Earth.
77 of them concluded that they had not encountered evidence of a secret large-scale atmospheric program, and that the data cited as evidence could be explained through other factors such as typical contrail formation and poor data sampling instructions presented.
Yeah, because you would think that, like, you know, if the government was actually doing this, there's a reason why it'd be a secret program,
Yeah,
and they would make it so these fucking guys wouldn't be like, oh, wow,
yeah,
this is a really,
that's right.
there's some like really bad shit happening right now. Like, everyone would notice it, but like typically when you do something secret,
It's a secret.
It's not like there's like, you know,
No.
spies that are just like shooting random people at like the McDonald's, and they're like, oh
Right,
no,
Yeah,
it's typically secret.
yeah. So out of 77 conclusions, how many do you think came out as
Chemtrails?
chemtrails are bullshit?
Probably all of them. I'm gonna 77, or it's gonna be like above 95%.
76.
Okay,
out of
it's
77.
gonna be above 95%.
But could you imagine being the dude?
the one dude?
You're at a table with 77 scientists, and you're like, nah.
it's like, I'm pretty sure that guy just got like fired for like like fucking one of his students. And he's
The
like,
next-
no, it's
The
fucking
next
bullshit."
report is like, out of 76 scientists. You know what I mean?
like, no, that guy's out.
Yeah. So since then, the issue periodically comes up in, like, you know, the world and in the media and stuff like that. But according to public policy polling, 5% of Americans still believe in chemtrails.
Have you
Which
ever
is
heard
5%?
of? So you said something interesting. I never heard of anybody talking about this outside of the U.S. Like,
Yeah.
in the
It's
research
not
that
like
we
a
were,
real
you know,
thing anywhere
it's
else.
like,
only
because-
the U.S.
Because
gets
only
fucked.
the U.S.
Yeah.
is this fucked up to do this to their people. Like,
Yeah. But
That's kinda
FYI,
believable.
just so we're all on the same page, 5% though
Right.
16 million people.
That's a lot of fucking people, dude.
So 16 million people believe in this.
Dude, that's not a small number.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It'd be different if it was like 600 people still believe in chemtrails.
I should have done like comparatives, like how many people believe in Bigfoot.
True.
It's
Do you know
like
what I mean? Like,
89
in
billion
comparison.
people.
So there we are. That's chemtrails.
Are you guys in the 5%?
You know, here's the thing.
You want to
I
go first, Sean?
I can't really like definitively be like, yes, it's real. But like, do I believe it? Kind of. Like,
You're kinda
I kind of.
But what would be the purpose?
Like
Okay.
you
what
can't
would
put
be the
it
purpose?
past.
Like what's the logical
government.
purpose?
No, the purpose is because look, I mean, obviously, mankind's greatest downfall is also probably like one of like, you know, you can put it as a plus point, but like we just want to control anything and everything as much as we can. And so, especially from a military standpoint, it's like, look, controlling the weather is actually like a very
That's godlike.
good thing. Imagine being a naval admiral, and you're like, sweet, we're gonna fucking tsunami this fucking brigade that's coming into us, like just fucking crush
Screw
them.
tomahawks.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
dude, like why would
Get
we?
a tsunami
You're
going.
like, I'm not gonna spend the gas. We'll just fucking just kill them all. I mean,
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's the weather.
Yeah,
or
or
what happened?
It just
God.
or for a better example of that, like instead of destruction and killing us all, if you controlled the weather, couldn't you kind
For
of
good.
ease?
Like use it for good.
Yeah, use it for good. Like
Yeah.
ease global warming.
Yeah, they're not using it for good. That's a lie,
Do you know what I mean? You go, oh, our
They're
rainforests are
using it for
depleting.
military.
dude. They're using it
Like
for
that's what they
military,
want to do or wanted. I don't even know
or-
if they do control
or
it.
you use it as another arm of control.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, here's a quick example. All right, imagine that, like, all right, so the government's like, you know, we're going to take a little bit more of your liberties away. And people are like, fuck you, this is bullshit. And then it's like, okay, wow, it's weird. There's like this crazy drought in America. There's just like no water. It hasn't rained. It hasn't rained in 6 months. People are dying. People are freaking out. Who do they turn to? The government. Save us. Save
FEMA.
us. And then they're like, don't worry, we got you. We have these like fucking, all these water reserves. We got you.
Just come to this FEMA camp.
We got you. And then like, you know, you pray to the fucking golden calf and like it fucking starts raining the next day. And they're like, oh, the government, they saved you again. I'm just saying it would be a really good source of control. And because, you know, there's also theories that, you know, they try to, you know, control seismic activity and like things like that. And like just various things you can.
Well, like I said, there's a whole nother episode we're going to get into, which is the HARP program.
Oh, the HARP program. Yeah. Like literally
That's crazy.
actually like using it, like, you know, fucking weaponizing, you know, natural phenomenon. The government's so fucked up, dude. It's definitely something if
You
they're
wouldn't
not,
put it past them.
if they're not, no,
For
if
sure.
they're not doing it now, they fucking tried to do it.
Yeah.
I with 100% certainty, they tried.
Yeah.
They may have failed and it didn't work out,
Yeah.
but like they fucking tried.
So if you look up now and you see like you know, an airplane and then there's like, you know, smoke coming out the back, are you like, fuck? It's like Monsanto.
I mean,
You know.
that, the Monsanto's a whole nother. Jesus, that's a
They go, write
27
that
part
down. Yeah, write that
podcast.
down.
No, I look at it and I'm like, why is it going on for so long? And like, I see all the
Yeah.
streaks in the sky. I'm like, that's what makes it like
Yeah.
when it's happening so much. I'm like, like, should it really be happening all at every plane?
We see that a lot around here, but we have a
then we have-
mile
and then we
from
have-
here,
then we have
from the
Tampa-
studio.
and the Tampa airport, yeah.
Then you have the Tampa
And then there's
International
MacDill Air
Airport.
Force Base, and like,
Yeah, so there's a lot of shit going on in
that's
the
a good
skies
point.
around us.
That's a good point. And the Coast Guard's
All
always
the time.
fucking flying around.
All the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But you know, we've been crop dusting for a long time.
Dude, for
Right.
fucking
Yes.
like 90
Right?
to 100
Yeah.
years we've been shitting
Yeah.
crop dust out.
Yeah. I mean, you know. So Jorge, where are you at?
I think at the end of the day, I'm at the 95, not the 5%.
You're just not
I think,
into it.
Yeah, just from the research I've done, I think that it's just contrails.
Yeah.
It's not. Although Sean always makes good points, man.
Like,
So it's like you were saying. It's like, yeah, you can't put it past them. Did they try at some point? Yes, I do.
100%.
Yes,
Are
I
they
agree with that
active
part.
now? Yeah.
I don't think they're active.
I
now.
would agree
Yeah.
with that.
And I think
I don't
for the
think they're doing it
majority
now. I
that
think
we
it's
see-
failed. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
majority that we see is just regular contrails, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I was saying, like around here, I used to see it so much, but there's like several airports around here. So
Right.
for us around here, I don't believe it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe in the future. If you want to listen to the Dune books on audiobook, there's definitely
Which one?
Atmospheric
The
manipulation.
Dune, yeah.
The Dune saga.
Yeah.
It's really good. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's absolute bullshit. I think it's bullshit.
Debunked.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. Maybe they did try to do weather manipulation, in the past, and they failed miserably at that, technology-wise, and I mean, I don't want to say failed miserably, but it was just like this is too hard.
They moved on to the HART project.
And it's like a waste of money.
This.
I mean, I do think if it's anything, I do think it's very easily for them to like be putting out some other sort of chemicals, but for a different purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't believe it's weather. I don't
Yeah,
believe.
if anything,
I
it
don't
was-
believe chemtrails are weather related at all. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any. Not a one motherfucker that's trying to like.
You think it's like some control, population control, some
That's,
way
that's
or
what
other.
I think. It's something like whatever. Like, I mean, because think of it this way: like, look how hard, like they pushed on the vaccines. Like, they're pushing really hard. Like, what if they could just like spray it over?
Just spray the vaccine
spray it over,
on my
spray it over
dome.
your house.
Spray it on my head.
Yeah, and you're like vaccinated. Just breathe.
We'll get all the bald guys first. Yeah, go straight to their skin.
Osmosis.
Yeah, there's dads mowing lawns and
I know,
shit.
it's like I got for like my morning coffee. I'm like, God, what a lovely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know that the
Hilarious.
people who do believe in this are very hardcore.
And they're really
They're
gonna hate
very
us.
hardcore. We're gonna get some hate on this one, but there you go. That's what we got tonight. Thanks, guys.
Don't email me on my personal email about this, please.
Yeah. Don't research us privately.
I know, like
Yeah.
I have a daughter.
Yeah.
She's sweet. She doesn't want me to die.
You guys got to come back. We're going to talk about the HART project, which goes deeper into the whole
Oh yeah,
weather
and
control.
then, and then
that's going to be a
later
good
down the
one.
line, we're gonna hit that Monsanto up. That's a dude.
That's
I mean, that's not even really conspiracy. It's almost fact. I mean, because they're doing some real shady shit.
I know. All right. Well, thanks a bunch, guys. Hit us up. We'll talk later.
Peace.
Bye.
Hey, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to reach out to us, please email us at info@theconspiracypodcast.com. You can check us out on Instagram at @conspiracypodcast. Also, don't forget to subscribe. You can catch a new podcast almost every week. Just hit the little subscribe button at the top. It's a plus sign. We love show ideas, corrections, hate mail. Above all, the most important thing you can do to support our show is leave a review. That's how this show keeps going, is by reviews from you guys. Thanks a bunch.